whether or not the Democratic Party raises $1 billion or $2 billion, which is unheard of, Elon Musk could stroke that check as a single individual and never think twice about the amount. So there is no amount of money that we can raise that's going to make a difference.
And Michael, welcome back to the program. It's been quite a
Good
while
to see
since
you,
you've been
Tom.
with us.
It's been more than a day.
Yeah, it has. It definitely has. First of all, just for our listeners out there, I just want to let people know after you and I have a conversation here for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm gonna throw it open to our listeners to call in and ask questions of you, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure. Perfect.
Okay, cool. So Jeremy will be lining up callers who are specifically have questions for you. So I've noticed over on your Substack, Robin, I read your Substack, I subscribe to it, I recommend it, I think it's just great. And you've been writing about the threat of a billionaire administration, and pointing out how Trump has corrupted Eric Adams. I guess he was corrupt to begin with, and you argue that Pam Bondi is laying the groundwork to make sure that her boss is untouchable, while Trump is waging war on the press. This all seems to be kind of one thing. Knowing Donald Trump as well as you do, and having been thrown in prison by him as you were, what do you think the game is here?
The game is total power, total authority. One of the things that I've talked about in the book Revenge is Donald is a transactional individual. This is not about what so many of the pundits that you hear on television talking about, that he is a shadow government and he's allowing Elon Musk, who's the real president. None of that is accurate. It's all great hyperbole. It makes for a great story. It's wonderful if, in fact, you were living in Gilead in The Handmaid's Tale. But that's not the reality here. The reality is Donald Trump is seeking to create a scenario where, as he stated earlier, he intends to destroy our tripartite system of government. He intends to rewrite the Constitution. And the more I talked about it, the more I used to get pushback from individuals that says, stop it, it's not true, you're just being hyperbolic. No, I'm not. In fact, what he is doing right now, which is straight out of the Project 2025 playbook, he is attempting to dismantle the legislative branch, which I believe he's already done, when you start to see the senators capitulating to some of the nominees that Donald Trump has put forth for various different positions. One of the things that you see is nobody wants to fight with him. Well, it's not just the legislative branch, it's the judiciary as well as the Supreme Court that made that terrible ruling about presidential immunity. So what is his goal? His goal is to be able to take full and total control over the U.S. Government.
Wow. It seems pretty evident to me as well. My op-ed today over on HartmannReport.com, my Substack newsletter, is my concern that Thursday is the 92nd anniversary of the Reichstag fire in Germany.
I read it.
You read it? Okay. I'm curious your thoughts on the possibility that Donald Trump would use a terror attack against the United States, whether real or staged. I'm assuming real will be enough, to declare a state of emergency, to use the Insurrection Act, to basically suspend the Constitution and make himself emperor for life.
Well, I don't think he needs to actually have a war or even the threat of a war within which to do that. He's already talking about 2028. Now, a lot of people will say, yes, but look at his age and look at his health and so on. His family has a longevity gene. I can assure you on that. And one of the things I had talked about, even again in the book Revenge early, is that he intends to stay. He's not looking to give up the power. He enjoys the ability to get other leaders around the world, regardless of whether they're third world countries, second world, or they're G7 countries, to capitulate, to come, to bow down, and to kiss the ring. I know this all sounds so crazy. Unfortunately, all you need to do is turn on your television set, and you are seeing this as a reality. And I'm shocked. I'm truly shocked that we have gotten to the point that this is where we are at as a country. But he's not going to need to start a war within which to try to effectuate this, we'll call it supreme leader monarchy ideology.
Yeah, well, my concern is that, some idiot might set off a bomb at the Capitol building or something, and that might be enough for Trump to use. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think so. First of all, it's not so easy to get into the Capitol, and if anybody has been through that between the...
Well, I mean, it could be anywhere. It could be, but anyway, okay, let's move along.
Yeah, I just, to be honest with you, I don't see that. I believe he thinks that by rewriting the Constitution, he will have the ability to go a third term, a fourth term, and basically, as you stated, to insert himself as a dictator or as a monarch, a king for life.
Yeah. In other words, he doesn't, in your opinion, he doesn't need an event, a triggering event. You had a fascinating conversation with Jim Acosta a day or three ago, in which Jim was suggesting that Trump, delights in owning the libs, and you were saying that Acosta's suggestion was not the way to defeat Donald Trump. How do we defeat Donald Trump? What is the best way to take this man on?
This is where the new head of the DNC needs to gather around individuals who actually know and understand Donald. One of the things that you need to do is you need to be reactive. And that means not take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month within which to get a response back where, you're just putting something out there in an op-ed. If I hear one more Democrat turn around and say, well, what we'll do is we're going to put out an op-ed. To be honest with you, you're wasting your time with the op-ed. Few people are actually reading them and or actually even absorbing what the predicate is of that op-ed. You need to go to social media, whether it's going to be on the TikTok platform, whether it's going to be on Substack, on Blue Sky, and you need to make it simple, right? Like the old expression, Tom, it's the economy, stupid. Well, in this specific case, it is social media stupid, because you're starting to see the young generation, Gen Z, as an example. They spend more time absorbing their news information from social media platforms like a TikTok, like X, like Blue Sky, like Substack, than any place else. And we cannot afford to lose that group as well. On top of that, grassroots. We need to establish old school grassroots campaigning. One thing I was explaining to Jim, because we have something called Michael Mondays on Jim Acosta's Substack, where we go live and we engage in this type of conversation. One of the important things is we have to acknowledge that Democrats, as long as Donald Trump is anywhere near the levers of power, we will never be able to outraise them in these campaigns. And it used to drive me crazy when you're listening to people turn around and say, well, we need to raise money, we need to raise money, we need to have money for, more advertisements, more newspaper ads, and so on. That's not how you win a campaign anymore. And whether or not the Democratic Party raises $1 billion or $2 billion, which is unheard of, Elon Musk could stroke that check as a single individual and never think twice about the amount. So there is no amount of money that we can raise that's going to make a difference. We need to own the scenario via social media.